So there will be a Game 7 this Sunday. The Detroit Pistons roll on into Cleveland and take one on the road, handing Cleveland their first home loss of this postseason. They take it by a final score of 115-94 and tie the series at 3 games apiece. So Game 7 will be this Sunday. You know, this was a very interesting game, right? Like from the jump, I felt like the Cavaliers kind of had a solid start to this one, but Detroit kind of established their tone on the glass early, right? Like I think one of the first 2-3 possessions to even get on the board in the first place, they had like 3 to 4 offensive rebounds. This was a game that Jalen Duren really came alive, right? Talk about how he struggled in the postseason up until this point. I really feel like this was a wake-up game. He gained a lot of confidence. He was starting to feel himself a little bit, stuck his tongue out, was kind of flexing his muscles a little bit. He really was starting to feel like himself in this one. He had a nice game. Finished with 15, 11, 7 to 10 from the field, a lot better, showing he tweaked his ankle a little bit in I think that third quarter, but kind of, powered through and made some really big plays down the stretch. Cade Cunningham still leading the charge for Detroit, 21, 8 assists, 7 of 19 from the field, but hit 5 threes. And they got bench production, right? When you look at what Detroit did, to me, the biggest difference in the game, besides Donovan Mitchell, who we'll definitely talk about, was the bench production, right? 48 bench points to Cleveland's 19. That'll win you playoff games more times than not, especially on the road. Outscoring Cleveland's bench by 29 points. That's a huge lift. In addition to the fact that they really dominated the paint, right? 48 points in the paint to Cleveland's 26. They shot the 3 better. And like I said, the bench came out and showed out. So when you have bench scoring, when you have shooting the 3 ball at a more consistent clip, right? Making more threes, or maybe not more threes, but a higher percentage of 3-pointers than your opponent. When you are getting more points off turnovers than your opponent, right? So you're creating more points off turnovers, you're making a higher percentage of the 3-pointers, and then you're getting more consistent production from your bench. And couple that finally with, to me, what has been a very interesting story, underlying story this entire postseason, which is the struggles of Donovan Mitchell, right? Donovan Mitchell, as I watched this game, I was turning to my cousin and I told him straight up, I said, Donovan Mitchell, I feel very uneasy when James Harden leaves the game. And James Harden, don't get it twisted, 8 turnovers in the game. He still turns the ball over at too high of a rate for you to feel comfortable, but the offense still flows. They're still score. They're still, functional when he's out there on the court. For whatever reason, when Donovan leaves, or when James leaves and Donovan checks in, the offense becomes stagnant. And especially tonight, I really felt like Donovan really had forced the issue, right? Because late in that third, when Cleveland was, I believe, down 6, James had went to the bench. Donovan had checked in, right? This is how they stagger the minutes, right? Effectively kind of giving one star rest of the other to where they both play down the stretch of the fourth quarter, right? And I was watching that stretch, and I remember when Donovan checked in, I said, man, I don't think this is going to go well for Cleveland, right? And I felt so uneasy about Cleveland's Cleveland's ability to produce at times with Donovan. And don't get it twisted, Donovan had a very strong Game 4, right? He was the reason they won Game 4. Came out, had one of the best scoring performances we had seen. So don't get it twisted. I understand what he can be when he's at his peak. I understand how good Donovan Mitchell is. But I'm also taking a step back and saying these last 2 games, especially if Cleveland doesn't find a way to win Game 7, there is definitely going to be conversations about how Donovan Mitchell has looked in these settings. And to me, like I said, late in that third, Cleveland was down 6, and Donovan Mitchell was forcing shot after shot after shot, and next thing you know, it ballooned to a 10-point lead, it ballooned to a 14-point lead, it ballooned to a 17-point lead, and Cleveland, they battled back from time to time and made it a little bit closer maybe towards the end until the dam broke and Detroit ran away and finished this game and won it by 21? Right, so to me, those Donovan Mitchell minutes late in the third was when the game was lost. And he's had that problem all postseason long. So for as much good as he's done this postseason, I take a step back and I look at it and I'm like, man, these non-Harden Donovan-only minutes really hurt Cleveland, whether that's in the Toronto series or that's been in this particular series over the last couple of games, right? And like I said, I'm being specific in this series, the last couple of games, because like I said, James Harden struggled in games 1 and 2, and then turned it on in games 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll see what happens in 7. But I also have to be very fair and call a spade a spade. I just don't think Donovan Mitchell has lived up to the billing of being the highest paid, best max player, the guy that they have the most expectations out of for this team. So definitely something that I'm looking for. As far as game 7 and what I'm looking forward to, it's going to come down to controlling the glass, controlling the O glass specifically, shooting the 3 ball at a higher percentage of the other team. I know I'm saying basic things, but legit, who can do that? And last but not least, whatever bench performs, right? And if the stars show up, right? The stars have to show up, man. Donovan Mitchell owes the Cavaliers a good game after not playing well these last 2. And if they can control the glass, if they can control the paint, if they can do a good job of rebounding at a high level and, defending at a high level and not turning the ball over, because that's also a big thing. Both teams have turned the ball over quite a bit. Then that team will win. I pick Cleveland. I'm going to stick with them. So I'm going to stick with the Cavs here, taking it in game 7 on Sunday. I'm not particularly super confident in it because these are spots where guys like James and Donovan have had their struggles, right? And Cade and Detroit, they're relatively young. This is the first time they've been in a spot. Well, not the first time. They were like this, I guess, in the last series, but they haven't really been in spots like this consistently. And I guess if we're going based off what we just saw last series, they have a chance to actually close it out as well. But I'm going to stick with Cleveland. I picked them. I'm going to continue to roll with them. So I'm going to stick it here with Cleveland. But I just wanted to get this in a fresh kind of like inside the lines post-game reaction to the Cavs and the Pistons, and we'll see what happens game 7. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know who you guys think will win game 7 and ultimately advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. And we'll see you next time. But until next time, we hope you keep it inside the lines.